commitments. My name is Denisa Fainis, and I'm the Secretary General of the Middle East Solar Industry Association. We are organizing this event in partnership with Solar Arabic. And we have some distinguished guests today, panelists that will give us some valuable insights into the market. I personally am very attached to Bahrain and have taken lots of trips there last year. So it's nice to see that the market is flourishing and is moving forward in supporting their energy goals, renewable energy goals. So I wanted to give you a short overview about MESIA, which stands for the Middle East Solar Industry Association. And it's the only nonprofit solar association that brings together the whole solar sector across the Middle East and North Africa. Its aim is to promote the growth of solar in the region and also provide opportunities for the members and partners, including organizing webinars, organizing events. We have a really big one next week if you're in Abu Dhabi. We also produced various reports, with one coming out next week. It's called the Annual Solar Outlook Report. And then we also provide market updates. And we have about 80 members between regional and international members, and also key partners across the value chain. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the panelists. Each of them will be doing a short introduction, will present themselves and their company. So let's start with Omar from Longi Solar, a PV module manufacturer.
Okay, thank you, Denisa. If it's okay, I'll share just a quick introduction presentation on the screen. Can you confirm, is everyone seeing this?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Omar Latiyat. I am Longi's sales manager for the Middle East. Quick thank you to the organizers of this event for the content creation for the companies in the industry and the customers as well. So it's an exciting time for us in the solar industry. We're in the transition era from the old fossil fuel energy sources to the new, greener and more sustainable sources of energy. Almost all the countries in the Middle East have set very ambitious 5, 10 and 15-year energy targets to move into solar. We believe solar is going to be the primary source of energy in the future, with Bahrain really becoming a leader, one of the leaders in this transition, with the regulation and the tariffs and all the actions they're taking to promote solar. I was actually one of the lucky people who worked on the first commercial solar project in Bahrain. It was a 5 megawatt project for the Bahrain Petroleum Company. It was commissioned in 2014. And since then, we've seen the coming of the net metering regulation, the increase in tariff, and several projects. So Longi was really fortunate to contribute its solar panels in these notable projects. And we are looking forward to a big contribution in the coming future. So I'll introduce the company briefly. So since establishment in the year 2000, Longi has developed into the largest global PV module manufacturer, or solar manufacturer, actually. There's an interesting statistic, is that 40%, almost 40% of the modules that exist in the world today have either been manufactured by Longi or have been manufactured utilizing the Longi silicon wafer. Longi is a vertically integrated company, and it's one of the few in the industry. What this means is that we take the raw silicon oxide and through various manufacturing processes, transform it into the silicon ingots, then wafers, then solar cells, and then finally the solar module or the solar panel, which we use today. So the vertical integration allows the company to research and develop and innovate in every step of the manufacturing cycle to make sure that the final product is optimal in its performance. I'll just mention here that Longi is one of the leaders in terms of innovation and investment in R&D. The company spends on average 5% of its revenue on research and development. So for a record-breaking year such as 2021, Longi had invested 689 million on research and development. So we have almost 1,080 employees who work every day to research and test new materials to come up with the lowest LCOE for our customers all over the world. So I'll just stop here and not take so much time and give some time to my colleagues. Thank you, Denisa.
Thank you so much, Omar. We'll continue with Ibrahim from Green Innova, which is a local EPC in Bahrain. Please go ahead, Ibrahim.
Thank you, Denisia. I'm very glad to be with you all today. My name is Ibrahim Radi. I'm a co-founder of Green Innova. I'm an EPC in Bahrain. I would like to just give a small overview about Green Innova. Green Innova is a local EPC been in Bahrain since 2013. So with this year, we are celebrating our 10th birthday. Let's say we are an ISO certified company in quality, environment, and health and safety. And we have the pleasures of working with national, international, companies, across Bahrain and outside Bahrain. We are providing, we have 4 main pillars in our organization: the renewable energy, energy efficiency, and an eco-building solution. The idea that we have estimate for the vision of the company is how we could work with our partner to reach the net zero carbon emission, with how we'll be able first to reduce the required energy in organizing companies and establishment, and then power the rest with renewable energy. We are also active in terms of the knowledge area. So we have a Green Innova Academy, providing specialized courses in solar and energy efficiency. We are an approved EPC and contractors by EWA and by UNDP, and we have been active now for more than 5 years in this domain. We have several projects when it's come to megawatt scales, and these are some of the projects that we have been working over the years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibrahim. We're moving forward with Khaled from Yellow Door Energy. Yellow Door Energy is a regional renewable energy developer.
Thank you, Denisa. My screen is visible. Perfect. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers. It's a pleasure to be, here today among you, all of the distinguished panelists. So, as Yellow Door Energy, we're, very proud and excited to be part of this exciting journey towards net zero in 2060 in Bahrain. A bit about myself, just 1 second. There we go. So my name is Khaled Shwaro. I'm the country director for Saudi and Bahrain. Overall, 13 years of experience in solar. I have a degree in engineering and management. As Yellow Door Energy, we're the largest solar CNI developer in the region with over 200 megawatts, over 50 customers. Our shareholders are prominent investors like the IFC, World Bank, Mitsui, which is a Japanese investment corporation. You have the Epicorp, Arab Petroleum countries. They have fund invest in energy, and Actis. Most recently, we've raised $400 million in terms of investment in Yellow Door Energy. Now, our core markets have been UAE, Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi, and most recently, we're expanding to South Africa and Turkey, as well as Pakistan as a core market. Here are some of our customers. What we offer is a solar PPA or solar leasing, which is essentially we would invest rather than the customer doing the investment. So we take care of everything from A to Z, from designing, from procurement, installation, to commissioning and operating and maintaining the power plant for a period of 15, 20 years. Throughout the contract term, we take care of the operation and maintenance. We provide the repair promise, and we give an energy guarantee. Shall we go under the guaranteed energy, we pay back by the customer the difference. So we take on the entire risk of the project. Some of our prominent customers are Mondelez, Carrefour, Nestle, Unilever, just to name a few, very leading customers in the region. Proud to be in Bahrain for the past 2 years, and we're very proud to actually execute Bahrain Mode, which is the largest private solar power plant in Bahrain to date, and hopefully more continued success in Bahrain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khaled. And last but not least, Shiam from Clenergize. Clenergize is, I would say, a regional, but I know you broke into international waters too. So Clenergize is an international energy consultant.
It's Denisa. Just give me a second. I'll put this on the screen. Great. So we're a solar energy consulting firm based out of the Middle East. We started out in Dubai because there was a robust policy here about 7 years back. The team are experts in solar energy predominantly, and now we've started doing energy efficiency and sustainability projects as well. So just to give you a bit of a background, so our scope of services, like I explained, are solar energy, sustainability, and energy efficiency. Our market coverage has been most of the Middle Eastern countries, Bahrain having started out after probably UAE as one of the most strong markets. Our references are pretty credible in this region with the likes of a couple of multinational companies who are well known, like Aramex, Emirates Airlines, Seif Malls in Bahrain, IKEA, Baker Hughes, Emerson, etc. And we've also worked on a couple of ground-mounted projects, which is the semi-utility or a mid-utility segment. Probably take you to the next slide. About 700 megawatts of work has been done by our firm in this particular region across probably 140-odd projects. Also, I think MISIA has been kind. So we've been lucky enough to get Consultant of the Year 2 years in a row and probably a Best Project Award as well. Our scope of work is very straightforward. We do consultancy for end users, off-takers directly. We run tenders, we do project specifications, we do project management, and also contracts management for our projects. And glad to be a part of this particular webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. I hope the audience got to know you a little bit. We're going to begin with some questions, and then we'll leave about 10 to 15 minutes towards the end for a Q&A session. I am a little curious about what our audience is comprised of, whether there's more off-taker or more energy engineers, electricity engineers, or how many solar energy specialists really out there. So we did try to come up with questions that would be simple to understand and will give you a true overview of the market, and also that are more very easy to comprehend. So we'll begin with Khaled. Khaled, as a developer, and I would say the glue that holds everyone together, what shifts in the energy consumption have you observed post-pandemic compared to the pre-pandemic, whether it's in the off-taker behavior or even EPCs or manufacturers? I want to say in the C&I sector, just because I don't think the residential sector is that popular yet.
Sure. So, I mean, throughout the proposal stage, we always used to ask for 12 months of electricity bills. And you can see that always there's a trend that during COVID, especially at the height of COVID, you see that there's a drop in consumption. And, that's due to various lockdowns or, the customers, basically the business is down due to the whole COVID situation. Even we have seen customers during that stage, they don't want to take any commitments. There's a lot of ambiguities at that time. Now we're seeing more customers, back to normal stages. Electricity consumption has been back up. Economy is much better than it was before. We see customers are more willing to take decisions and to commit to signing contracts. So definitely it has been improved drastically since COVID.
Thank you, Khaled. And speaking of a shift in decision making and maybe tackling the indecision of off-takers, I'd like to ask you, Ibrahim, where do you see the current solar market? I mean, you're local from Bahrain, you have your own company. How do you compare that with the energy transition goals of the country? Where do you see yourself fit in?
I think, the solar industry was really initiated back in 2017 with the National Energy Renewable, National Plan. And within that period, there was, modest targets for the, let's say, the renewable sectors to have 5%, from renewable by 2025 and 10% by 2023. Recently, there was an accelerated, let's say, appetite for increasing this. So by COVID 2026, the Crown Prince has doubled the target. And with doubling the target of renewable energy mix, the market has really, reacted, in very strong manner for sustainability and solar. So now the target is 10% and 20%. So we could see that all the ministries are, are putting tenders. We have 100 megawatt tenders on the ground, 72 megawatt on tender on the ground, plus the other as well. When the government moves, there's things are also moving. So I think in terms of the ground, now it's been accelerated. The target and the policies are supporting, and I think this will continue for a very sustainable future as well.
Thank you, Ibrahim. That's extremely optimistic. And I do agree there has been a tremendous improvement in the regulations, and also the stakeholders. They're better prepared. I know there's been some different tiers of qualification of EPCs, and you've worked really hard to achieve tier A, I want to say.
Yes.
Good job. So moving on to Shyam. Shyam, if there was a Google Translate for the solar energy, I would say Cleanergize is it, because you do speak everyone's language and you're at the forefront of implementation. I know you certainly come across off-takers that have limited knowledge of what the solar system entails. How do the regulations apply? How do you explain to them why they can't get the solar impact that they envision at the tariff they seek? How do you justify the delays in execution? And also while you're keeping an eye on all the stages of development and also the plant operation process?
Thanks, Denisa. So I think the process of solar is pretty much the same, be it Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or be it Bahrain. The concerns of the offtake are pretty similar. They want to sign, they want a project in 6 months, they want their lowest tariff. CapEx pretty much is not the focus area in Bahrain right now, but even on lease, they're still pushy on timelines. And the biggest issue, which is not different from what happened here as well in Dubai, the availability of documents and the experience of the contractor are two major things that we are seeing in Bahrain also. You could sign a lease agreement, but then if you don't have the as-built documents, the site details, the building underground provisions, which almost always cause issues if you're doing car park projects or projects where you have to dig through in their plots. If they're not available, the surprises come during the construction stage. they're being dealt with the same way they were dealt with in other projects. There are delays to manage. But as far as the expectation of clients is, it's still a really good time in Bahrain, I would say, because you are looking at very large projects. And the sizes, if a government tender can come up with 72 megawatts in a single tender, and our tenders are like probably 10 to 13 megawatts per project, the qualification for these projects is the capacity is so high that the time for off takers is still pretty prime right now. There are no policy revisions so far, and it's literally an off takers market presently. They can get what they want. Timing is a very minor aspect when you're getting that sort of capacity and sizing. But otherwise, I think the process is pretty straightforward. The minor delays of availability of documents, etc., quality of contractors are the easier parts to deal with. The hard parts to deal with are when the policy changes.
I totally agree with that statement. And speaking of that, and I wanted to ask you, Khalid, how do you think the government could incentivize businesses and residential off-takers to go solar, but also prepare them or advise them or build some awareness and how they can get their ducks in a row and make themselves eligible to get solar lease?
To start with, the government of Bahrain has been doing an excellent job so far in terms of, having the rules and regulations in place, net metering, and as well as, setting the targets. And we've seen during the regulatory processes, whenever we come up to an obstacle, usually the utility is very helpful in terms of, offering, solving the problem in a very swift and easy way. So, Bahrain has been doing an excellent job so far. Now, what maybe could be an addition, something that could help the market just to stimulate it more. One thing could be, more recognition for off-takers that actually jump towards solar. Could be through awards, could be through, more media, more publishing. So it's always good to give credit to those customers, especially the first customers that are really taking the step, because I'm sure once the first couple 10, 20 customers adopt solar, more will adopt. So this is something that can be done. Also, if I know that land is scarce in Bahrain, but wheeling could also help in terms of solar. Maybe on the, since Bahrain is an island, floating solar rules and regulations may be in place so that people can start thinking of that if possible. So those are the few, let's say, suggestions that I suggest. But yeah, I mean, I would like to overall commend the government of Bahrain of what they have been doing thus far. It's been great.
Appreciate it, Khalid. Thank you for the kind words. And tying my next question tying it to the previous one, I would like to ask you, Omar. And for those that are present and don't know what LCO is, it's the levelized cost of electricity. So that is average made from the O&M cost, the EPC cost, and some other costs involved in coming up with that number. But when you're referring to developers, Omar, how do you prevent developers from suffering due to the fluctuations in the cost of PV modules that affect the LCOE? How can they protect themselves, and considering there's an extensive period of time from the development stage to the execution stage?
Yeah, so you're right here. The LCOE is the key factor in enabling investment into solar in the first place. So EPC companies will tell you that LCOE is the make it or break it when it comes to the project feasibility, the design, and the product of choice. So if we take the LCOE into 4 parts, we can talk about the module cost, the BOS cost, the O&M. In terms of product, we have the energy yield and reliability. So for the module cost, we're talking about, or the component cost, we're talking about the industry chain costs, the raw material bottlenecks that happen, the shipment feasibility and costs. BOS, we can talk about the panels, the mounting structure, foundations, cables, and strings. For the energy yield, we can talk about how efficient the components are, especially like for PV panels, the efficiency, temperature coefficient, and degradation, and the reliability and durability to produce the output power for the given project yield time. So for these four components, when we talk about price fluctuation, what we are talking about is the component costs or the module costs right now, which are fluctuating heavily over the past few months, since the silicon prices are going up and down, and also through the pandemic, we had the fluctuating of shipping costs as well. So there are certain things we can control in terms of the product of choice, the reliability, and the compatibility of the system. The things we can control, we can put in place. And for the financial models that are being built by the developers or the EPC companies, they can set their expectations and their models based on the things that can be controlled. The price, which is fluctuating, unfortunately, it's out of our hand. But with a well-built project and a financial model, we can make sure that at least we have the right things in order to be successful in the project that we are talking about. So in terms of trying to control the risk of price, it's something that's out of hand, I would say, for developers and EPCs.
Appreciate it, Omar. And my next question would tie into this one, and I would ask Ibrahim, because I mean, realistically, the EPC is taking the biggest risk in terms of cost, right? Like, you are the one that orders all the BOS, you are the one that orders the main components, you are the one doing the permitting. So being at the forefront of all these risks, especially the procurement stage and stock keeping, assuming all the other risks related to the building integrity, your team's performance, what can you tell us about the how you tackle these challenges, and what does the government do to support these EPCs? I know you had to go through a stage of, you know, evolving and learning curves. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I think, yes, the EPC, like in the projects, we are being responsible of, the engineering, procurements, and the construction. And for that, I think, you have to be ensure that you are dealing with the right products, the right quality products that you are putting into your system. You are building systems that will last for 20 years plus. So for us, we ensure that we are absolutely, dealing with the right, suppliers, the companies that provide, the tier one the product, when it's come to that. The second thing, I think, is the people. We are investing in, in our people. The government also have invested heavily in uplifting the capabilities of, the people in terms of, the skills, and when it's come to the regulation and understanding the regulation. So for us, we have, very highly qualified people around that will support us in, meeting these, or let's say, obligations that, the developers are, putting in, and we are, alhamdulillah, achieving this. And that's why for us as Green Innova also is, we're not limited to build the capacity that within our, company, but we believe that all the stakeholders has to, uplift their, knowledge, skills, expertise into the solar. So the whole ecosystem is being uplifted. And this is the core, mission of Green Innova Academy that we have established.
Thank you, Ibrahim. And I would like to come back to Khalid. Assuming you have a reliable EPCs such as Green Innova and Ibrahim.
We're very happy that we are working with those. Yeah.
Khalid, have you noticed a trend or similar challenges in the project evaluation? Is there consumer apprehension towards committing for a long time? I mean, even if it's solar lease, they still have, they take a few steps back. They have to analyze, they have to ask their friends, they have to engage somebody like Shiam for technical advice. How are you still able to propose to them a competitive tariff and convince them that solar is the way to go?
Absolutely. I mean, committing for 20 years, it's not an easy choice, or 15 years. So customers do take time, sometimes too much time. But I guess as a developer, what we offer is, I mean, not only it's a long-term commitment. Yes, I mean, it is a long-term commitment, but at the end of the day, we're providing comfort for the customer, whereby, we're taking care on the entire risks of the project during the operation and maintenance. We provide the repair promise, energy guarantee. So in any way, a solar power plant needs to, even if let's say the customer invests money, the payback period is already like 7 to 8 years. So it's a long-term project in any ways. And then when we provide them this or her the comfort with all this, repair promises and all the, let's say, we take on the risk of the operation, this should provide the customer an ease, and he should, say, okay, I'll focus on my core business. I have this developer who's putting in the investment and offering a tariff which is less than the utility tariff. So I'm enjoying the savings from the first day, which means payback is immediate. And the developer is taking care of the entire risks. And on top of that, since 15, 20 years, sometimes things happen. Business with the economy, as we all see, things happen, things change. So we do have termination, we do have outs. It's not like, there's no out, you have to, pay us regardless. No matter what happens, you have to pay us for the energy. No, there are, different scenarios where the customer can terminate. So this provides, comfort to the customer as well. So, this is how we approach. We're a partner to the customer, long-term partner. It's 20 years. Sometimes, it's like a marriage. It's more than a marriage sometimes. So it's, we do, let's say, provide this comfort to the customer so he can take this leap. And we see that majority of companies, large, scale companies, are going for PPA for leasing, although they are super rich companies, but they see this is the best way to go. This is the, the best decision to take when it comes to solar.
I agree, and I think it also alleviates all the risks from investing in capex. Shiam, since you are, I think you probably have the closest relationship with the off-taker most times. How do you see the costing structure for the Bahrain market? And we all agree that solar lease makes more sense. But what do you see in the off-taker behavior in terms of considering capex versus lease?
That's very interesting. I'd actually asked a couple of our teammates last week to plot a scatter diagram, which is last 7 years, and I'll get to Bahrain also. Last 7 years, 25 bidders across 140 odd tenders. So that's a data set of more than, I think, 800 odd dots on a graph, which shows us who's lease, who's own, who's what price. Because the issue with us is when we tender out, there's one guy who's happy, and then there's 24, 25 others who are upset. And then we got to have our numbers ready for the upset folks. And we wanted to do our own, analytics from what we are seeing. And it is true, before we used to debate it, that they're evenly balanced. But I think UAE has already shown it. Lease has outpaced capex. Bahrain actually started already out with an outpaced scenario, quite heavily in the favor of lease. And it's not that it's determined by one or two projects which move and then everybody starts following them. The numbers are what they are. What Khalid said is true. Considering that the couple of early ones also included car park structures and non-solar components, you start putting that in Bahrain, you're looking at probably excess of 6.5, 7 years of payback. Hard to convince somebody on those numbers. We've seen capex move in about 2-3 projects now recently, and those are clients who have a very strong mandate on ESG and sustainability standards, where they are asked by their company policies to invest in carbon saving measures and not just lease them. But that's an off case. We are stepping into meetings where clients aren't even asking us to tender out the capex aspect of projects. So lease is dominant. And lease is working really well because there's such strong competition that the lease chaps are already at it and dropping it in every round. So like I told you in the beginning, it's an off-takers market. They have the max capacity to pick from. They have 8-9 lease offers to pick from. And God only knows how this tariff is happening in Bahrain, but the tariff in Bahrain is surprisingly now even lower than probably the peak of what Dubai used to be. So we're just witness to the whole story. We're not influencing the story.
Thank you, Shyam. And Omar, because you are, because Longi is manufacturing, I think the most important component. Can you tell us a little bit about the new releases from Longi and how do the technology improvements benefit the off-takers? And also, I know it's going to be of interest to everyone on the product availability in the country or at regional level. How do you do the warranty? I think these are all questions that people would love to know the answer to.
Great. So we have the HIMO family series at Longi. We had great success with it, starting from the introduction of the monocrystalline to the PERC, to the bifacial PERC, to the half-cut cell design, all the way to the M10 wafer, which is the 182 millimeter wafer that we are using in our HIMO 5 series, which is currently being manufactured today. Now, for the HIMO 5, we're using a few technologies which help its performance and its energy yield. Actually, our HIMO 5 module is the highest selling module of all time right now. So the technology we're using is the M10 wafer with gallium doped cells. We are using P-PERC technology. We are using the 9 busbar half-cut cell design, and we are adding the smart soldering technology. For the HIMO 5 series, which is currently available, it's offered in 3 module sizes. We have the 54, 66, and the 72 cell. The 72 cell is the most popular in the region and in Bahrain as well. So we have both the monofacial and the bifacial type. We have the monofacial power output ranging between 540 to 560 watts. And the bifacial is from 535 to 555 watts. But the new and exciting thing, which we have released lately, it's the latest and greatest from Longi's design. It's the HIMO 6 product. Now, the HIMO 6, we've designed it with care to the distributed market, which is CNI and residential. So we tackled 3 issues, one which is the aesthetic, the second which is the performance, and the third which is the limited space, which is usually available on residential roofs or like factory roofs as well. So the HIMO 6 series came in 4 types. We have the Explorer, which is focused on performance. We have the Scientist, which is the ultra high efficient, one of the highest efficiencies in the market. And we have the Guardian. The Guardian module comes with the built-in DC optimizer. So that unlocked 3 things for us. One, which is monitoring on an individual panel level. The second factor is a safety factor, which has an automatic shutoff if we have an electric fault. And the third one is enabling installers with limited space to install on various orientations, whether it's east, west, north, south, on the same MPPT, on a single MPPT of an inverter. And the fourth one is the scientist, where we've created modules of various colors. They will be available at WFES on display. If anyone's coming there, they can see it. So we have these aesthetic modules for like landmark projects, let's say, but we have not compromised on performance. So we have the same high performance, but with color and excitement. So the HIMO 6 is currently in production as well, and it's available all over the Middle East. The good thing about us as LONGi is that we're known for our reliability and we're always available. So we have 30 manufacturing bases worldwide. The stock is available. When we get projects and orders, we are able to fulfill them quickly. Yeah, that covers it. So just more about the technology aspect of the HIMO 6. We're using an HPBC cell technology, which is the hybrid passivated cell technology, back contact cell technology. This hybrid passivation allows for extremely high efficiency out of our modules. Also, the module from the front side, we have removed the bus bars to the back side of the solar module. So we've increased light absorption by 2.3%. And we increased the aesthetic beauty of the PV panel. So really, we have a high efficient module and better aesthetics with a very low degradation and one of the best temperature coefficient numbers in the industry right now. And this is extremely important for Bahrain, where we face severely hot summer weathers and high temperatures. The module is sure to perform well in that case. Hello?
Omar, I think we lost you there for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Since when did you lose me?
Some performance. You were talking about the performance.
Just to wrap up. So the HIMO 6, we have the ultra high efficiency, better aesthetics, and I was mentioning the temperature coefficient, which is one of the lowest in the industry. And it's really effective in Bahrain, especially in the summer with the high temperatures. So that's what's available. As I said, we have almost no lead times. So you can contact me as well. I'll mention my email on the chat for any inquiries.
Thank you. And if I know the process right, Shyam will have to vet you on their approved vendor list. Khaled will also have to do that for his investment board, and Ibrahim as well will have to make sure your panels perform.
Well, we already have some projects going on with Yellow Door and Green Innova, and so we're already working together for a long time, yes. And we're approved in EWA as well in Bahrain. So just more in the future.
More in the future, inshallah.
Amazing. And before we wrap up, I would like to give you the opportunity to provide us with some takeaways, and I would all center it around the current net metering policy, maybe how it impacts the design, the engineering, the execution stage. Do you see any bottlenecks? Would you like to maybe collaborate and propose some changes on the policy? I know our voices are strong enough to be heard by the right people.
So this question is to me, right?
Everyone, to wrap up. So let's start with you, Omar.
Okay, so I would say that the net metering policy really helps, but let's say for the residential sector right now, for the Bahrainis primary household, the tariff is still very low, and it's not really feasible in terms of a solar installation. But we are seeing the CNI sector, and perhaps for the unsubsidized residential sector, they have a 5 to 6 year payback period, which is a good start for solar. So I think it's on the right track. We believe it's picking up soon, and we hope that from our side as the panel manufacturers that we do not have any bottlenecks. I believe the things we faced from the pandemic are behind us. Hopefully in the future, we will not have any delays in shipment. And we are seeing a slightly decreasing trend in price, which will make solar even more feasible and attractive in the future. So, yeah.
Appreciate it, Omar. What about you, Ibrahim?
Well, I think, the policies are set there, the net metering, the feed-in tariff, as well as mandated, partial of the new buildings, the new organizations to be, mandated with percentage of renewables are stated. It is there. The only thing it's not really being deployed as of now. From my understanding of the market, there will be new policies coming on board within this year, maximum early next year. So the Ministry of Electricity and Waters is going to update. We have the Ministry of Oil as well are now into a major consultation project with all the oil and gas companies to bring a sustainability national plan. We are also very happy to have, I think, one of the very, early countries that we have a Ministry of Sustainable Development that will look after the full 17 UNDP Sustainability Development Goals. So I think we are in an era that, more things to happen. It is good now, it's very good, but I think even better things will happen now in the future.
Yeah, I know you're a rookie to Bahrain, should I say? But I know you covered a lot since you've been traveling there, and you were able to grasp the market.
Look, like I mentioned before, this is going to go up very fast and get deployed also very fast, because the guys who are supposed to actually finance, build, operate have got their experience and have been doing this around, not even 1,000 kilometers around, in very successful projects. So the contractors, financiers exist. It's a very ripe market, but our genuine advice is the same. If it's off-takers around, or if it's contractors, do push your clients, and for off-takers, do take the projects while you get them. Probably that's the best advice, knowing all of us on the panel who've been working in the industry. When such a time and place exists, you capitalize on it and you put in your approvals and you get your projects. Because like any other country, there will probably reach a saturation point. It's so good that they have this policy and they're actually sticking by it, and the numbers are the way they were actually explained in the policy and the targets. So that's our take on it. Everything's moving exactly fine. There are no concerns and nothing negative from our side on Bahrain. It's actually really good.
Thank you. And last but not least, Khalid, and I also know you're based there, correct?
I'm based in Dubai actually, but I'm flying from Dubai to Bahrain, Bahrain to Saudi, half of the month on the plane. So, I mean, no comments in terms of the net metering. As Shia mentioned, it's the right time. It's the, developers are there, consultants such as Client Jars have been doing an excellent job in terms of helping the customer to make the choice, making the customer more comfortable to make the choice, which is great. Great contractors are there, like Renova. So you have the full, all the players are there and ready. Just customers, maybe, they're taking a bit more time to make their decision. Hopefully, they'll be more, I guess, confident, or this time will be less, and we'll see a lot of projects happening in Bahrain, especially when you see this, 83.5 megawatts that was the tender that EWA did most recently. So you see large projects as well as, smaller projects in the CNI sector. So it's a great time, and nothing to add in terms of to the net metering. They're doing a great job. Just keep at it, and that's it.
Thank you. Bahrain is small but mighty, so I think it's going to keep a lot of people active and employed for the years to follow. Great. So we are going to now take some questions from the audience. Let's start with one question I received from the organizers. Is there a government support for IPP solar power production projects to buy from government in Bahrain? Maybe Ibrahim, you could answer that.
In terms of subsidies, for example, no, there is no like subsidizing them, the governments. The governments are providing a very smooth, let's say, process of application of, building the capacity, putting the right regulation. But in terms of, financial incentives, I don't think there is something on the ground yet. It's again, that the policy are giving very flexible, let's say, and attractive. So if you have like a premises in one place and you are building a good solar system there, which is sizable, you can transfer the credits to other units, up to four units. That's give people who has more than one premises, more great flexibility. So I think that's what's happening now.
Thank you, Ibrahim. I'm just going to try to skim through the chat box. Whew, a lot of questions here. Let's see, Donald, has there been any experience of clients utilizing special loans from banks like BBK for solar projects, and how simple has it been for them? Let's say Khalid.
I know that there are, bank loans that customers can take. I don't have the full knowledge of the, terms and conditions and the rates and everything. But these days, I know that the interest rates are high, especially it's a worldwide thing to curb the inflation. And yeah, I guess there are multiple options. Customers can decide to go with developers or to go with banks directly to get loans. Now, with the just a difference, I guess, between the two with the bank, at the end of the day, it's more like they take the money and then they have to return the money via EMI payments. The bank does not look at in terms of guaranteeing the energy or repair promise or anything. Basically, it's just a transaction. However, it's another good option if someone does not want to, commit with the company and take a loan on their balance sheet. Its option is in the market. Now, in terms of banks, who is offering, I'm not sure. I know BBK, yes, is one. I'm not sure who else are offering the market, but I'm sure the option is out there.
I can add on Khalid here as well. I think we have two tiers when it comes to the financing. So we have the tier that it's targeting the consumers, which is made very easy now for consumer with a cap of 20,000 BD. We see active banks, NBB, BBK are active into this, let's say sector. And then you go to the large bank like HSBC and Baraka and Ahli. They are also offering, let's say large amount even for the developers. And they are also, considering the green fund. So there are some kind of, special rates that go around these, let's say, projects, sustainable projects and green projects.
Amazing. We have a question for Omar from Longi, but I'm assuming it refers to the agreement signed with PIF, the Public Investment Fund in Saudi Arabia. Will the signed agreement with PIF be covering the GCC demand?
Well, unfortunately, I'm the wrong guy to answer this because I'm focused on the DG market for the utility. We have our colleagues, but I can gladly answer your questions. I'll put my email down and you can send me the question and I'll contact you.
Okay. For Bahrain, what is the minimum PV plant size that is feasible for PPA? Shiam, would you like to answer this?
Look, even 200, 250, 300 odd kilowatts is good enough. The sort of rates that we are getting now, yeah, that number is quite favorable still for a good competitive PPA to be sought from the bidders. Yeah, 200 odd kilowatts is good. Anything above that, obviously.
And anything related to caps on solar installations? Also Shiam or Ibrahim?
Caps you would mean from the government side or from a feasibility
Yes.
standpoint? Not to our knowledge. Yeah, there are certain restrictions, and the restrictions mostly would apply in terms of your roof space and your connected load. But to our knowledge, that hasn't held back a project, because the sort of projects that are coming to the forefront are where the consumption, specifically of mixed-use buildings and industrial buildings, are so high that the caps are more governed towards their consumption than the roof space and the connected load.
Great. Omar, there's some questions about the actual efficiency of the LONGi products. I think you can drop off your email address and people can get in touch with you directly, unless you want to answer this question real quick.
I'll answer it quickly. So if we're talking about the HIMO 5 module, the current module on production, the efficiency is up to 21.7 for the 560 watt. But for the new HIMO 6 modules, the ultra efficient ones, we have reached 22.8 for the scientist module. It's a 590 watt module, and 22.3 for the 575 watt module.
I see here a question related to how do you see the rollout of the plan to reach 700 megawatts by 2030 as announced? And do you see this as mainly CNI or utility scale? And how do you see the Bahrain network deal with the intermittency linked with solar and nighttime demand? Ibrahim, would you like to answer this?
I think, the government has now, let's say, tender out and has installed, more than 10 megawatt, scale projects already finished and commissioned. And now, the acceleration, especially with the reforms of, the early stage that was, there. Now, I think we are in a bigger accelerated manner. So we have seen the 100 megawatt tender, 72 megawatt tender. And we could see also that many governmental buildings are now being surveyed, and more are coming on the road as well. So this 710 megawatt is, say, the target will be split from the government side. The right policy, as panelists said, is there. It is open cap. So the industrial sectors, as we'll say, let's say we will have the catch-up effect. So everybody will come at the right times when you see other peoples are, joining the installation of solar system. I think it's achievable, though. The target of 2060 by being net zero carbon emission, it's very challenging. We have a large, organization, industrial organization like ALBA, BOPCO, GPIC, and their consumption is very high. So here, where you will require innovation, here we will require investment in the energy efficiency sector, bringing the new technology like hydrogen and, many other wind turbine. So this target is where I think, many planning is being now, working on the many plannings and plans for achieving this.
Khalid, thank you, Ibrahim. Khalid, I have a question for you. What potential for setting up 100 to 300 megawatt projects to private or government users?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is the potential for setting up 100 to 300 megawatt projects to private or government users?
Now, usually when it comes to 100 megawatt or 300 megawatt, usually it's usually for the government, or I mean, most likely 100 megawatt. If you look at the most recent tender, it's like 83.5. It's 4 or 5 different facilities, huge facilities with a lot of buildings. So it's not usually for one customer unless they have massive loads. So I mean, if there is a available space and there's an available load, then definitely it's possible to put in 100 megawatt. But I mean, typically we don't see that number in a CNI, nor see it with a governmental space.
Thank you, Khalid. I'm going to try to wrap up because we're running out of time, so I'll probably ask a couple more questions. Omar, may I please get an idea of the VAT and custom rates in Bahrain for importing solar products? Is there any special considerations on these rates compared to other products?
So right now we haven't really, to be honest, I have just started managing Bahrain, so I don't have the clear number on that, but I can get back to the person who asked the question on the VAT. Perhaps maybe Brahim can help us out with this question if he knows on the importing fees tax.
Ibrahim, I think you're muted.
Yes, as far as our understandings, the PV modules are exempted from, the duty. All the other components are having their own duty, which is 5%. And in terms of the local, we have 10% VAT. So this is what is, governing in terms of customs and duties, taxation.
Okay. And last question, I think we sort of covered this during the session, which is which is a favorable market in Bahrain, EPC or CapEx? Shyam, can you wrap up with this question?
Lease, short answer. Lease is working really well there. CapEx, not so much.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we're going to wrap up here. I really enjoyed your company. Thank you for all the insights. I hope it was a valuable session for our audience as well. So everyone can reach you. I think you dropped your email addresses in the chat box. They can reach you on LinkedIn as well. We're happy to all connect with you on LinkedIn and provide more information. Thank you all for joining. Any last words?
Thank you.
From everyone? No?
Thank you, Denisa, for the wonderful session.
Thank you, Denisa, for organizing and moderating. It was a great session. Thank you all for your inputs.
Thank you all. Thanks,
Thank you,
Denisa.
and
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you as well, Salah Arabic, for organizing this session, and to Messia, please meet us next week in Abu Dhabi during the World Future Energy Summit. We'll be having a Messia award as well. Hope everyone nominating themselves for the awards. So we'll